Hi all, Lisa here. I'm going to do one more video today about vintage Rider-Waite-Smith tarot decks. And in this video, I will take up the all-important question of what is even better than a whole bunch of vintage Rider-Waite-Smith decks? The answer, a whole bunch of teeny tiny vintage Rider-Waite-Smith decks. Ding! I actually don't have a whole bunch, but I have two. One of them I've done an unboxing of, and that is my little teeny tiny, really adorable Rider-Waite Mini. And this, I won't belabor this, but this is, somewhere prior to 1975. It's got the Park Avenue address. It has a blushing fool. If I can get that in. If you can see, he looks like he has smallpox. The diseased fool. And it's a wonderful little deck. Half of the deck is still in shrink wrap. I don't think this deck was ever used. It's in almost pristine condition. The box is in beautiful shape. I love, love, love it. Oh, and you can really see the smallpox on the back. I love it, and I will never use it. I will, however, use my vintage pocket Rider-Waite-Smith. Now, before I talk about the vintage, I want to talk about what happens if you go online and you today purchase the pocket Rider-Waite deck. So it's interesting. This is what the box looks like, the pocket edition. These are made in China. At least some of them are. There may be some that are made in Italy, but for some reason, the pocket Rider-Waite deck, unlike the full size, which is made in Italy, are today made in China. And their differences, the pocket Rider-Waite-Smith deck that you can buy today just by going to Amazon or your local bookstore or whatever, the cardstock and the print quality is superior, in my view, to the Italian one. For one thing, if we just look at the backs, so these backs, if you can see I don't know if you can see it. It's hard for me to show how, I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, but there you can sort of see how glossy it is. And I talked before about the regularity of the plaid back, and then how the printing process, because of, I think, the ways these are stamped out, maybe because it's all digital and laser, if you hold the side up, you just see this utter regularity. And these plaid backs, they're not quite as glossy. The cardstock isn't as glossy, and it's not that kind of highly regularized, digitized printing process. The coloring is also a little bit subtler, but it's a subtle, subtle difference. It's really at the level of the cardstock, I think, that these are more plasticky than these. The other thing I should point out is, for some reason, with the pocket versions, maybe because there aren't English, maybe there aren't as many different languages that they produce them in, but they've retained the Pamela Coleman Smith lettering in the titles. So even if you don't buy a vintage deck, you may find that the pocket version, which of course does have the copyright, and it's modern, you might find the pocket version is more satisfying to use, even in a non-vintage context. And in fact, this is the deck that I carry with me these days in my purse. Just a note, the pocket Rider-Waite-Smith is smaller than these tin versions that US Games puts out of various decks. So it's a very nice size. I mean, I love the size of the tin versions. This is my tin Morgan Greer, but this is a really nice size. It's really great. I just put it in. I have a little Vera Bradley bag. I have my little a little crystal Pachymer quartz, and Bob's your uncle. I take it with me everywhere. Okay, this is the Chinese version of this deck, Chinese printed, modern version. I also have a vintage version, and the vintage version same dimensions. The deck looks different, right? The deck looks like the earliest imagery on the full size, where this is Waite. The deck itself, I am pretty sure it's the same vintage as my favorite inexpensive vintage deck. The one that has the ISBN on the side is made in Switzerland by Muller and C, and has the New York, the 38 whatever it is, New York thing here on the back. 38 whatever New York thing. That wasn't very coherent. The 38 East 32nd Street, New York address. Now, it seems really similar. What I will say is that these do have the Stamford, Connecticut address, but they don't have any ISBN on them. I think that this is 1990. It's actually not so very, very different from the Chinese deck, but it's different enough that it was worth the investment. The colors are that more muted color. The cardstock is the more matte cardstock. Again, these feel to me like the late 80s, early 90s cardstock of the full-size deck. The other thing to note is the little white book on the older one of the blah, 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 blah. It's a little white book as opposed to the more full-size in the modern Chinese printed version of the pocket edition. So to recap, I think this is like 1990, early 90s. Really nice cardstock, nice coloring. Does have the copyright, but it's the abbreviated version, the one that just says U.S. Games 1971. Wasn't expensive. A little bit more scarce on eBay than the full-size vintage deck. Maybe a little more scarce. Yeah, I think it is a little more scarce, actually. These are a really nice set. Really similar. Swiss-made. Lovely cardstock. Lovely coloring. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, I think I'm done. I don't think I have anything more to say about vintage Rider-Waite Smith decks, at least not for now. I may, who knows, I may have to buy like gazillion more and talk about this ad nauseum, but for now, I think I am done. Okay, take care, guys.